A True Prince by Kairia'sYami. Chapter 5. I Won't Say I'm in Love. Aladdin would like to say that he knows what he's doing, but he thinks everyone from Abu to Malu would disagree with him, so he has no idea what he's doing. He has been having a great day with an entertaining court meeting. He has so much fun arguing with his noble court, even if they are often frustrating, because they rarely have logical explanations for their greedy plans and proposals. So he gets to poke holes in their arguments and watch as they get redder and redder from anger and embarrassment. His favourite game is pretending to be unaware of their schemes, and seeing them get infuriated by being outsmarted by an ignorant, bumbling child with no experience. What? Don't judge him, he needs to get his kicks somewhere. The only times he tends to dislike the meetings, now that he has enough knowledge and experience to understand and hold his own in those chambers, is when Babui, Atum or Kalim were active participants. Those three were older, slyer and more ambitious than most of the others on the council, and while none of them were cruel, they all seemed to enjoy watching him play with the other nobles. He could never outmaneuver them. If he ever tried to pass a law they disagreed with, they would always manage to change it enough that he wasn't satisfied with it anymore, while nearly all of their proposals tended to get passed with only minimal editing from him. He didn't hate them, but they very much were the most frustrating parts of being a prince. He can't hate them because when things have gone wrong, they have been the ones to push him in the right state of mind. They've been the ones who supported him the most. They were all pragmatic and very loyal to Despara, despite their greed and disdain of those of lesser birth. It's either tease the nobles or go stir crazy on days he can't manage to sneak out, followed by a fun visit to the servants' quarters during his free time. He started his visits to the quarters after meeting several servants who wouldn't even speak to him, they were so afraid. They all considered him so far above them that they couldn't even consider speaking to him. He'd started to work on changing that as soon as he could, starting with visiting the servants' quarters, and he was shocked. Not at the quarters themselves, or really the servants in general either, but at two specific stable hands. They were brothers named Babkak and Omar, and once upon a time they were the only friends he ever had. Together with a boy named Kasim, they were a quartet who did their best to survive the stressful underground of Agrabah. And these two boys had no idea who Aladdin was, beyond their prince. They had no memory of ever being friends with Aladdin the street rat, only serving Aladdin the prince, and Aladdin will admit that he fled. It took him a little while to work up the courage to return to the servants' quarters, and remake the friendship that had been lost to the other reality. Now, over a year and a half since he had met them for the first time, again, they were as thick as the thieves they had been once upon a time. And he'd been looking forward to his after-dinner discussion with Zafar about budgets, because maybe, this time, they'll come up with something, so it would be feasible to create some kind of commoner food fund, or something, so no one will ever go hungry again. But then, this happened, and Aladdin will have to put it on record that he was very much not expecting this, and he really wants some help right now, please. Zafar, where are you when I need you? Maybe he's over-exaggerating, but he truly has no idea what to do right now, and panic is better than considering what he has to do now. To explain what had happened, Aladdin had been heading to dinner when he was intercepted by a messenger, telling him that he was needed in the throne room, because there was an ambassador from Karina there, and he wasn't expecting no for an answer. Sorry, my lord, I wasn't able to tell him to wait until you were holding an audience tomorrow morning, and he really is causing a fuss. But if you refuse to meet with him, I can get the guards. Willing to put off his dinner for a short while, and curious about this visitor, Aladdin had agreed to meet with the ambassador, and spent the walk to the audience chamber thinking about Karina. According to his lessons, Karina is one of Despara's neighbours, and the two nations have been allies for nearly a century at this point. Were he anyone else, he might be looking forward to this meeting. But he knows the kingdom of Karina from two different sources, both of them from his prior life, and neither of them good. The first was his own meeting with the Prince of Kairina, when he was just a street rat, Ahmed, the prince who was on his way to try, and fail, to woo Princess Jasmine, when Aladdin stopped him from hurting 2 children who fell onto his path. Not the best first impression. The second source of knowledge in his memories of how Dayasbara fell the first time, because of an opportunistic neighbour that invaded the nation while it was weakened from drought and war, eventually leading to the monarchs dying and civil war raging. Dayasbara originally fell because Kairina, their ally and friendly neighbour, betrayed them and attacked them at their weakest point. He did not have a very high opinion of Kairina. But now, he must pretend he has no bias against the nation, as it never invaded Dayasbara in this timeline, and he cannot be seen to treat foreign dignitaries with hostility without due cause, so he straightens his back and molds his face into the mask he has learned to use during unpleasant business, and he strides into the throne room with a smile on his face. And so, here he is, sat on his throne with a fake smile on his face, hands clenching where they rested on his knees, and mind gibbering in panic. In front of him, the ambassador of Kairina speaks, arrogant and pompous, and Aladdin is not paying attention to a word he is saying, because, how am I supposed to respond to this? I studied this possibility in both my diplomacy and politics classes, but why is my mind blank? I have no idea what to do. Why is he still talking? Why is he still talking? Why did I come here? Oh my god, what do I do now? What is he saying now? And of course, we would get our trading deals upgraded once you agree to this union, and therefore there would be treaties to ensure there is no treachery on either of our parts. It really is in your best interest to accept. I even have all the official papers right here. You just need to sign and verbally agree, and we can start planning the marriage. Nope. Aladdin is not dealing with this. He is hungry, he is tired, and he is not dealing with someone who is trying to manipulate him into an arranged marriage that would almost certainly favour Kairina over Dayasbara. The ambassador isn't even being subtle about it. He clearly believes that Aladdin is too naive and uneducated to understand the attempted manipulations going on here. And Aladdin doesn't feel like dancing to his tune. Before the ambassador, who had introduced himself as Mai, cousin of Prince and Princess of Kairina, can continue his proposal, Aladdin sharpens his smile and cuts in. It's getting late, don't you agree? I think we should both go and rest for now. Perhaps we can discuss this more tomorrow. My advisors will be available then to aid me in the decision-making. Giving the smallest of nods to the gaping ambassador, Aladdin sweeps out of the room, leaving his guards to escort the ambassador to suitable guest quarters. Arriving back to his room, Aladdin lays down on his bed. Reggie still marvels at to this day because God, it's so freaking comfortable. Pulls one of his multitudes of pillows over his face and screams out his frustrations. When he is done, he sits up to see Abu sitting on the bed next to him, a worried frown on his face. He had likely been reading in the room, because Abu, now that he's human and has access to an entire library, is becoming quite the scholar, when Aladdin had burst in and had his minor breakdown. Al, you okay? Abu's voice breaks through Aladdin's thoughts as he tries to articulate all his worries to his best friend. I don't know, Abu. I just got a marriage proposal from Kairina. I have no idea what to do with that. I'm kind of freaking out. I don't trust Kairina, but in this reality there's no reason for it, and I don't know how to convince everyone to say no. He runs a hand through his hair, a mannerism that Zafar has tried to make him stop countless times because it's unbecoming of a prince, and has yet to succeed entirely. Abu, knowing his friend, can tell there's something else bother him. And what else? You've dealt with situations where you've had to convince Babawi and those guys of things you know of because of your past. I mean, last year's drought would have been devastating if you hadn't convinced everyone to bring in the harvest early and ration water earlier. Oh, I didn't do much. You know that the reason wasn't that bad because of my wish.
There would have been so much bitterness and strife otherwise.
Seeing Abu's pointed look, Aladdin concedes.
Fine, yeah, there's something else that's bothering me.
Taking a deep breath, Aladdin tries to explain the thoughts that have been bouncing around in his head since day one, but have come to prominence with this latest fiasco.
It's about Jasmine. I made my first wish because of her, and I've helped so many people because of it. But sometimes I forget why I made that wish. That, once upon a time, I was so in love with the idea of a pretty girl paying attention to me, and then to find out that she was a princess with wealth and luxury and no worries about surviving the next day. I was smitten. And now that I have all that, I feel a little indebted to her, because when I wished away my reality, I got exactly what I wanted in a way I definitely didn't expect. And all because of her. But also, I'm conflicted because I could have sworn I loved her. But what if I was just in love with the idea of her? What if I meet her one day, and she's horrible and nothing like I remember? I want to love her, but I don't know, and then this whole marriage proposal thing happened, and no, I'm just so confused.
Abu takes several moments to process Aladdin's ramblings and come up with a response. Well, I'm relatively new to this whole human thing, but I think you're overthinking it. There's a chance you'll never meet her again, or that if you do, she'll be completely different. But if that's true, you take it and move on. You'll be thankful that she was the catalyst for your wish-making, and you go on with your life. Or she's just as amazing as you remember, you fall in love again, and you try to woo her yourself. Aladdin's first thought was,
wow, Abu's really wise for an ex-monkey. Followed by, wow, Abu has his life in order and I don't. I'm very envious.
And then his third was,
I have an idea.
End of chapter. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that one. I like this one because it shows Aladdin's conflicting two lives, but it shows it in a way that's very understandable. His thoughts about Karina, I don't know if that's how you pronounce that, by the way, that's just the way I read it, and his thoughts about Jasmine. I like that she's getting slipped in to this now, because, yeah. Another thing about this that I like is that it was originally first written the first couple of chapters with only the animated movie in mind, but now the author has been inspired by the live-action one, which I've recently become re-obsessed with because those two actors had so much freaking chemistry it drove me up the wall. And I just liked everything they added to it. Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell to get notified when I upload a new video. Have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye, my guys, gals, and non-binary pals. I'll see you in another video. Take care. It's just